Warme melk komt door de vrouwen schoon en schilt de ogen weer. Het Saksisch volk zal eeuwig heugen, zij die vielen voor hun Heer. In wouden en weiden, in alle pracht, u zal het strijden, het land dat wacht, de goden gegeven, geef ons moed, de vijand opgeven, voor u ons bloed.
So, Remembrance Day has been and passed. But it really got me thinking about my 4 great-grandfathers who served in one war or both world wars. I took the time to learn as much as I could about them, either going through records and photographs or actually speaking to living family members who knew them. And I realised that they are truly great examples of the Anglo-Saxon race. So my 4 great-grandfathers were named William, George, Philip and Peter. I would first like to talk about Peter. Peter was born in Kent in 1909. The youngest of my great-grandfathers. He was a desert rat in the North African campaign in World War II. Unfortunately, there isn't really that much to know about him. There is some photographs that survive. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and he was quite tall. Very good looking man. He always had a hair coiffed to the side, and he was also clean shaven. Tragically, only a few years after the war, he was in a logging accident, which my grandfather says he was decapitated. William, or Bill, was born in Surrey in 1899. He grew up out in the countryside to a very simple farmer family. Bill had red hair, blue eyes, and he was 6'7". He was a very large man and apparently struggled to get in through doorways. I did ask my grandfather, why did you not grow to be so big? And he said, I'm not really sure. And I said, well, it must be because of the diet. You must have had a lot of meat in your diet. And he said, we were very lucky to get any kind of meat. Sometimes father would return home with a goose or with a pheasant, but most of the time we had to rely on our mother to cook up some kind of vegetable stew. Apparently Bill never drank and never smoked. That's probably why he lived to such an old age. He lived to being over 100 years old, believe it or not, and I was lucky enough to meet him. Bill served in the army for over 30 years. Bill was sent to fight in 1917 in World War I, and after the First World War he was then sent to India and South Africa. Then, during World War II, he was sent to the Netherlands and northern Germany. Bill reached a very high position in the British Army. In Africa, he was sent to eliminate rebel forces. He called them Fuzzy Wuzzies. And there's a very interesting photograph of him standing with a rifle with an entire African village all on their knees and basically detained. According to my grandfather, he was very obsessed with history. He would encourage his sons to learn about the Anglo-Saxons. Now, this is also what I never knew as well, that he was very much obsessed with his Anglo-Saxon roots. Very interesting. Bill believed that the decline of the British Empire was an absolute disgrace. So I asked my grandfather, what do you think Bill would have thought of modern day Britain? And he said, quite frankly, I believe that father would have taken his own life if he saw what happened to his great nation. After everything he saw and all his friends who died in the world wars, I'm pretty sure he would have been absolutely beside himself if he knew that this was the future he was fighting for. Then there is also Phil, who was born in Portsmouth in Hampshire in 1906. He served in the Royal Navy throughout World War II. What I could gather is that Phil was sent to the Pacific, all over Asia by the looks of it. He went to Hong Kong, he went to Macau, he went to Singapore, and apparently he was quite an aggressive man. He was quite a large man. He did enjoy a drink and a good fight in the pub. There was time when he went to Australia and he went to a pub and there was an all-out brawl in one of the pubs there. He was a machine gunner who shot down enemy aircraft. Unfortunately, several of the ships he served on were sunk. When he left the Navy, he became a singer for a local band in Portsmouth. And even got his daughters and his son into singing as well. Now, my father was born in the late 1950s. He was quite nihilistic. He was quite a heavy drinker as well. He never saw any value in anything in life. His father was the complete opposite. He was an honest man. He did like a drink, but he wasn't a heavy drinker. But he was extremely family oriented. And my grandfather wasn't born until the late 1920s. You could say, well, that's a bit late for your great-grandfather to decide to have children. Well, no, he's actually one of the youngest of many children. So my great-grandfather, his name was George. George was born in 1893 in West Sussex. He grew up in the countryside to a simple working-class family. He grew up to be very tall, over 6 foot. He had blue eyes, brown hair, and a bushy moustache. He would go on to serve in World War I, where he would fight at the Battle of the Somme. But by the sounds of it, he was very disillusioned after the war. He took his family and moved to London in the 1920s, and then he became a member of the British Union of Fascists in the 1930s. Now, this piece of information was very interesting to me. Only recently I learned this, as I too am a member of the British Union. It's incredible how these things happen, isn't it? suppose great minds think alike, I guess. But he was too very disillusioned with his situation. And by the looks of it, he also wanted peace and unity for his people. Turns out I may have a lot more in common with these men than I expected. These men are greater men than I could ever imagine to be. These are true Anglo-Saxon warriors who have most definitely earned their places in Valhalla. We are currently fighting our own war. For as long as I've been alive, and even longer, we have been at war with our enemies who threaten to wipe us from the face of the earth. And to do right by our ancestors, we have to fight. We are past the point for politics and democracy. How much longer will we remain dormant? How many more lives must be ruined? How many more people must die? How much longer can we allow this sacred soil to be defiled by foreign feet?
I can't forget those midnight strolls down to Fürstendamm. The way you wore your Luger made me feel like such a man. The world that trembled in our grasp till got her damn run. Now I hear ghostly voices sing again the song we sung. We came, we saw, we conquered the triumph of the will. We came, we saw, we conquered the triumph of the will. The triumph of the will. Do you remember days of black and white and red? Do you remember when the dream was not yet dead? He promised us a kingdom that would last 1,000 years. The empires and ashes who still can feel the fear. Oh, I can't help it, I still feel a chill when I remember the triumph of the will, the triumph of the will. Now we're basking in the sun down Argentina way, healing our wounds and waiting, just waiting for the day. Once upon a time there were cathedrals made of light, and once upon a time Astutas ruled